Shut up. You do not belong here. Officer Bryce Caldwell's voice tears through the packed federal courtroom. His face burns red as he glares at the black woman presenting evidence at the podium. You people come in here lying about good cops destroying families, ruining lives. His finger stabs the air toward her. The woman continues speaking calmly. Your unit shows patterns of... I said shut up. Officer Bryce Caldwell charges forward, his boots pounding marble. 20 phones start recording. She does not move, does not flinch, just keeps talking in that steady professional voice that drives him insane. The slap echoes like a gunshot. Her head snaps sideways. The courtroom explodes in gasps. Know your place, Officer Bryce Caldwell snarls. She touches her cheek, straightens her glasses. When she looks up, her eyes are ice cold. Something shifts in her stance. Her military training kicks in. Officer Bryce Caldwell has no idea what is coming next. He has no idea who he just hit. Capital City thrums with tension. Outside the federal courthouse, protesters wave signs reading, "Reform now" and "Back the Blue." Inside, the marble halls echo with footsteps of lawyers, activists, and reporters gathering for what everyone knows will be explosive. Courtroom 4B sits packed to capacity. Judge Margaret Holloway presides over hearings that could reshape American policing forever. The air crackles with anticipation as cameras focus on the witness stand. At the podium stands Nadia, though most people in this room do not know her name. She wears a simple black suit, no jewelry, no badges of office. Her wire-rimmed glasses catch the light as she shuffles through manila folders thick with evidence. To everyone watching, she looks like just another expert witness, maybe a professor, maybe a researcher. They have no idea she is a sitting member of Congress. Nadia keeps her identity hidden on purpose. She wants her evidence to speak, not her political status. Her soft voice carries clearly through the courtroom microphone as she presents statistics that make seasoned officers shift uncomfortably. Excessive force complaints have increased 43% in predominantly minority neighborhoods, she says, clicking to her next slide. Behind her, Officer Bryce Caldwell stands at attention by the courtroom side door. He was transferred here from the 5th District. Disciplinary action disguised as a promotion. His supervisor told him he would be providing security for another one of those police misconduct hearings. Officer Bryce Caldwell did not bother reading the briefing materials. He figured it was the same old story. Activists and troublemakers trying to tear down everything he had spent his career building. He comes from 3 generations of cops. His grandfather walked the beat in the 60s. His father became a detective before taking a bullet. His brother died in the line of duty. To Officer Bryce Caldwell, the badge is not just a job. It is sacred family heritage. He watches Nadia with growing anger. Everything about her irritates him. Her calm demeanor, her fancy charts and graphs, the way she speaks like she knows what it is really like out there on the streets. Officer Bryce Caldwell does not know that Nadia served 2 tours overseas as a Marine Corps captain. He does not know she earned a Bronze Star for valor. He does not know she can disarm a man twice her size in under 4 seconds. All he sees is another privileged activist with an agenda. Nadia continues her presentation, unaware of Officer Bryce Caldwell's growing hostility. She has dealt with hostile audiences before. Angry town halls, contentious committee meetings, late-night congressional sessions that stretched until dawn. This feels routine. Officer misconduct complaints show clear patterns. She explains with her laser pointer, highlighting key statistics. Certain units demonstrate significantly higher rates of civilian complaints, use of force incidents, and disciplinary actions. The gallery murmurs, some nod in agreement. Others shake their heads in disgust. Officer Bryce Caldwell's jaw tightens. His hands clench into fists. He has heard this song before. Bleeding hearts with their statistics and studies, trying to destroy good men who put their lives on the line every single day. What Officer Bryce Caldwell does not realize is that Nadia is not just presenting random statistics. Every number on her slides comes from federal investigations. Every case study represents real people whose lives were shattered by police violence. And several of those cases involve his own unit, his own actions. Judge Margaret Holloway watches the proceedings carefully. She has seen tensions boil over in cases like this. That is why she specifically requested additional security. That is why Officer Bryce Caldwell stands guard, ready to maintain order if emotions run too high. Neither the judge nor anyone else in the courtroom realizes they have placed a ticking time bomb right behind the woman whose evidence is about to destroy him. Nadia advances to her next slide. Officer Bryce Caldwell's photo appears on the screen. His official department headshot alongside a list of civilian complaints. The temperature in the room seems to drop 10 degrees Celsius. The courtroom holds its breath as Nadia clicks to her next slide. Officer Bryce Caldwell's official police photograph fills the screen. His dress blues, confident smile. Civilian complaints scrolling below. Case study 12 involves Officer Bryce Caldwell, District 5. Nadia announces calmly. Officer Bryce Caldwell's face burns red. Every person in that packed courtroom stares at his photo while she reads his dirty laundry. Excessive force complaint, racial profiling, unauthorized arrest. That is not true, Officer Bryce Caldwell mutters loud enough for others to hear. Judge Margaret Holloway's gavel taps. Officer maintains silence. Nadia clicks to video footage. Grainy body cam shows Officer Bryce Caldwell yanking a black teenager from a car during a traffic stop. The kid's hands are raised, terrified. Officer Bryce Caldwell slams him against the vehicle. The gallery gasps. Suspect sustains broken wrist, facial lacerations, no weapons found, no drugs, no warrants. Nadia states matter-of-fact. Officer Bryce Caldwell's hands shake with rage. She is making him look like a monster. She was not there. Another video plays. Officer Bryce Caldwell shouting at a Hispanic woman during a domestic call. When she does not understand English fast enough, he grabs her arm roughly. Ma'am, when an officer gives orders, you follow immediately. His recorded voice echoes. The woman cries, trying to explain. Officer Bryce Caldwell is not listening. Judge Margaret Holloway frowns. The gallery shifts, uncomfortably. Officer Bryce Caldwell steps forward. Your Honor, she is taking everything out of context. Officer Bryce Caldwell, return to your post. Do not interrupt again. Nadia glances at him for the first time. Their eyes meet across the marble floor. She sees a man on the edge. He sees an enemy destroying his life. Nadia turns back to her microphone. The pattern continues through 17 documented incidents. Officer Bryce Caldwell's radio crackles with his supervisor's warning to stay in position. But Officer Bryce Caldwell is not listening anymore. All he hears is his reputation dying one statistic at a time. Officer Bryce Caldwell seethes over his public humiliation. That woman destroyed his reputation in front of cameras, colleagues, and complete strangers. He needs answers. During his lunch break, Officer Bryce Caldwell corners Officer Bennett from courthouse security. Who is that woman testifying about police misconduct? Officer Bennett shrugs, some expert witness. Why? She had access to my internal files, my body cam footage. How does some activist get federal investigation materials? Maybe she is connected, Officer Bennett suggests. You know how these hearings work? They bring in professors, researchers, and people with credentials. Officer Bryce Caldwell nods, satisfied with that explanation. In his mind, Nadia represents the liberal elite privileged academics who have never walked a real beat but think they understand police work. He spends his evening researching online. He finds a few articles mentioning police reform expert Nadia Ellis, but focuses only on comment sections calling her anti-cop and radical. Officer Bryce Caldwell never notices the small print identifying her as Congresswoman Nadia. His rage filters out anything that does not confirm his assumptions. Fresh hell arrives. Nadia presents audio recordings from police radio chatter. Officer Bryce Caldwell's voice crackles through courtroom speakers during a robbery response. Units responding to armed robbery. Suspects described as 3 black males, early 20s, normal so far. Then Nadia plays the unedited version. Units responding. 3 black males. Usual suspects doing usual suspect things. Officer Bryce Caldwell's recorded voice continues with obvious disdain. The courtroom tenses. Officer Bryce Caldwell's casual racism broadcasts in high definition. Nadia moves to another recording. Officer Bryce Caldwell and his partner discussing a traffic stop. Another one driving while black. Officer Bryce Caldwell's voice laughs. Let us see what we can find. Gallery members gasp. Some shake their heads in disgust. Officer Bryce Caldwell's face turns purple. These recordings were supposed to be confidential. How does this woman have access to internal police communications? Judge Margaret Holloway maintains stern order, but her disapproval shows clearly. Your Honor, Officer Bryce Caldwell interrupts again. Those recordings are taken completely out of context. Officer Bryce Caldwell, final warning. One more outburst, and you will be removed from this courtroom. Nadia does not even look at him. She advances to her next exhibit with professional calm that drives Officer Bryce Caldwell insane. Escalation continues. Nadia presents systematic analysis showing his unit targeting minority neighborhoods at rates 304% above district average. Her charts show arrest patterns, complaint ratios, use of force statistics. Every number damns his unit deeper. Statistical analysis reveals clear bias in enforcement patterns. Nadia explains traffic stops in predominantly black neighborhoods occur at rates dramatically exceeding population demographics. Officer Bryce Caldwell cannot stay quiet. That is because that is where the crime is. Judge Margaret Holloway slams her gavel. Officer Bryce Caldwell, you are out of order. She is twisting statistics to fit her agenda, Officer Bryce Caldwell shouts back. Bailiff, escort Officer Bryce Caldwell from my courtroom. 2 court officers move toward him, but he raises his hands. I will control myself, Your Honor. Please. Judge Margaret Holloway studies him carefully. Last chance, officer. One more disruption and you are banned from these proceedings. Officer Bryce Caldwell returns to his post, burning with humiliation. This unknown woman is systematically destroying everything he has worked for. His reputation, his unit's reputation, his entire worldview. Nadia continues her presentation as if nothing happened. That calm professionalism enrages Officer Bryce Caldwell more than shouting would. The nuclear option arrives. Nadia presents video evidence of Officer Bryce Caldwell planting evidence during a drug arrest. The body cam footage is crystal clear. Officer Bryce Caldwell approaches a suspect's car during a traffic stop. He reaches into his own pocket, pulls out a small baggie, and drops it onto the passenger seat. Suspect asks, "What is this?" His recorded voice points at the planted drugs. The courtroom erupts. Gallery members shout in outrage. Reporters frantically scribble notes. Officer Bryce Caldwell watches his career end in real time. That arrest sent a man to prison for 3 years. That man had children, a family, a life. Officer Bryce Caldwell destroyed with planted evidence. Judge Margaret Holloway pounds her gavel repeatedly. Order, order in this courtroom. Officer Bryce Caldwell's vision blurs with rage. This woman has access to everything, every mistake, every shortcut, every moment of weakness in his career. Nadia advances to her final slide. Pattern analysis indicates the systematic misconduct across multiple incident categories. These 17 cases represent documented violations of citizens' constitutional rights. Officer Bryce Caldwell cannot breathe. She is calling him a criminal, corrupt cop who violated his oath and destroyed innocent lives. His radio crackles. Officer Bryce Caldwell, maintain position. Do not engage. But Officer Bryce Caldwell has passed the point of following orders. This woman has painted him as everything he swore he would never become. She has made him the villain in his own story. Nadia checks her notes, preparing for her concluding statement. Officer Bryce Caldwell watches from across the room, his hands clenched into fists. Tomorrow she will deliver final recommendations that could end not just his career, but careers of good officers across the entire department. He will not let that happen. Late one night, Nadia sits in her hotel room reviewing tomorrow's presentation. Her chief of staff, Sophia, calls from Capital City. Nadia, that officer is losing it. Security footage shows him pacing, talking to himself. Maybe you should reveal your congressional status before things escalate. Nadia removes her glasses, rubbing tired eyes. He does not know who I am, Sophia. That is exactly why this evidence is so powerful. He is reacting to facts, not politics. But what if he snaps? Nadia walks to her window, watching capital city lights twinkle below. Her military training taught her to recognize enemy behavior patterns. Officer Bryce Caldwell exhibits classic signs of a man approaching complete breakdown. Then everyone sees what happens when officers think they can intimidate regular citizens without consequences. She says quietly, "You are not a regular citizen, Nadia. You are a member of Congress, but he does not know that. To him, I am just another black woman challenging his authority. Tomorrow, I present my most damaging evidence. The systematic pattern that proves his unit deliberately targets minorities." Sophia's voice tightens with concern. "That will push him over the edge." Nadia nods to her reflection in the hotel window. "Exactly. My overseas experience taught me that sometimes the best strategy is letting your enemy defeat themselves." She opens her laptop, reviewing security protocols for federal courtrooms. If Officer Bryce Caldwell loses control, she wants maximum witnesses and complete documentation. Sophia makes sure all major networks have camera crews tomorrow. "I want everything recorded." "Nadia, you are playing with fire." Nadia closes her laptop with quiet determination. "I am ending this the right way. When Officer Bryce Caldwell shows his true nature, the world will understand why we need police reform." Her phone buzzes with a text from her teenage daughter. "Mom, be careful tomorrow. I saw the news coverage." Nadia smiles, typing back, "Do not worry, sweetheart." Mom knows how to handle bullies. She does not mention that Officer Bryce Caldwell outweighs her by 80 pounds and carries a service weapon. She does not mention that her martial arts training has not been tested in real combat for 3 years. Tomorrow, she will find out if preparation trumps desperation. Morning arrives with tension thick enough to cut. The courthouse steps swarm with reporters, protesters, and curious onlookers. Inside, courtroom 4B fills beyond capacity. Every seat taken, people standing along walls, cameras positioned for maximum coverage. Judge Margaret Holloway calls the session to order. "Miss Nadia, please proceed with your concluding presentation." Nadia approaches the podium, carrying a thick manila folder. She adjusts her microphone, glances briefly at Officer Bryce Caldwell, standing rigid by the side door, then begins. "Your Honor, today I present comprehensive analysis demonstrating systematic misconduct patterns that demand immediate intervention." Officer Bryce Caldwell's jaw clenches. Here comes the final character assassination. Nadia clicks to her first slide. Statistical analysis reveals targeting patterns that violate constitutional equal protection guarantees. Her laser pointer highlights neighborhood maps color-coded by enforcement activity. Deep red zones correspond exactly with minority population concentrations. Officer Bryce Caldwell's unit conducted traffic stops in these areas at rates exceeding 340% of demographic justification. Translation: They deliberately hunted in black neighborhoods. Officer Bryce Caldwell steps forward involuntarily. That is not hunting, that is responding to crime patterns. Judge Margaret Holloway's gavel cracks. Officer Bryce Caldwell, final warning. Nadia continues without acknowledging the interruption. Arrest to conviction ratios tell the real story. Officer Bryce Caldwell's unit, 34% conviction rate, department average 67%. This suggests arrests based on bias rather than evidence. She advances to video compilation footage, Exhibit 23. Pattern behavior analysis. The screen fills with clips of Officer Bryce Caldwell during various arrests, all showing the same aggressive approach, all involving minorities, all demonstrating unnecessary force escalation. In one clip, Officer Bryce Caldwell yanks an elderly black man from his car during a broken taillight stop. The man moves slowly due to arthritis. Officer Bryce Caldwell interprets this as resistance. "Sir, when I say move, you move." Officer Bryce Caldwell's recorded voice shouts, "Officer, I am trying. My joints. I do not want to hear excuses." The elderly man stumbles. Officer Bryce Caldwell grabs his arm, roughly spinning him against the vehicle. Gallery members gasp in horror. This is not law enforcement. This is abuse of power. Officer Bryce Caldwell's face burns with shame and rage. She is cherry-picking his worst moment, ignoring context, making him look like a monster. Nadia advances to her most damaging evidence. Exhibit 24 represents the most serious violation in our case study. A new video begins playing, crystal clear body cam footage from months ago. Officer Bryce Caldwell approaches a young black father during a traffic stop. The man sits calmly in his vehicle, hands visible on the steering wheel, following perfect compliance protocol. "License and registration," Officer Bryce Caldwell demands. "Yes, sir. Reaching for my glove compartment now." The driver moves slowly, telegraphing every motion. But as Officer Bryce Caldwell walks around the vehicle's passenger side, the camera catches something horrifying. Officer Bryce Caldwell reaches into his own pocket, pulls out a small plastic baggie of white powder, and drops it onto the passenger seat. The courtroom explodes. "What the hell is this?" Officer Bryce Caldwell's recorded voice asks, pointing at the planted evidence. "Officer, I do not know what that is. I have never seen that before. Step out of the vehicle. You are under arrest for possession of cocaine." The video continues showing Officer Bryce Caldwell handcuffing the terrified father while his 3-year-old daughter screams from her car seat. Gallery members shout in outrage. "Monster. Corrupt cop, how many others?" Judge Margaret Holloway pounds her gavel repeatedly. "Order, order in this courtroom." Officer Bryce Caldwell watches his world collapse in high definition. That arrest destroyed a family. The father lost his job, his apartment, his custody rights, all because Officer Bryce Caldwell needed to boost his drug arrest statistics. Nadia lets the video impact sink in before speaking again. This fabricated arrest sent an innocent man to prison for 18 months. His daughter grew up without her father because Officer Bryce Caldwell planted evidence. Officer Bryce Caldwell cannot breathe. The walls close in. Every face in that courtroom looks at him with disgust and hatred. "Your Honor, she is lying," he shouts desperately. "That video is edited. It is fake news." Officer Bryce Caldwell, you are out of order. She is destroying innocent officers with doctored evidence. Nadia turns slightly, making eye contact with Officer Bryce Caldwell for the second time. Her voice remains professionally calm. "Officer, federal forensic analysis confirms video authenticity. No editing, no manipulation." Officer Bryce Caldwell's mind snaps. This woman has systematically destroyed his reputation, his career, his entire identity. She has made him the poster child for everything wrong with American policing. You do not know what you are talking about, Officer Bryce Caldwell roars, abandoning his post. His heavy boots thunder on marble as he storms toward the podium. 20 phones start recording. News cameras swivel to follow his approach. You activists come in here with your lies and statistics trying to destroy good men who risk their lives every day. Nadia does not move. She does not step back. She does not show fear. You have never walked a beat, never faced down a gang member, never held a dying partner. Officer Bryce Caldwell's voice cracks with emotion and rage. He reaches the podium in 5 quick strides. Nadia continues speaking into her microphone with unshakable composure. Pattern analysis indicates systematic targeting of minority communities through. Officer Bryce Caldwell's hand flies across her face with the sound of a thunderclap. The slap echoes through absolute silence. Her head snaps sideways. Her glasses fly off, clattering on marble. Know your place and keep your mouth shut, you lying. Time freezes. Every camera captures the moment. Every witness holds their breath. Nadia touches her stinging cheek. She bends calmly to retrieve her glasses, never breaking eye contact with Officer Bryce Caldwell. When she straightens, something has changed in her posture. Her shoulders square, her stance widens slightly. Military bearing replaces academic demeanor. Officer Bryce Caldwell raises his hand for a second blow. Nadia moves. 3 seconds of precision violence unfold in slow motion. Second 1. Nadia catches Officer Bryce Caldwell's descending wrist with her left hand, stopping his swing mid-arc. Second 2, she steps inside his reach and drives her right palm upward into his solar plexus. The strike hits with surgical accuracy, disrupting his diaphragm and short-circuiting his nervous system. Second 3. As Officer Bryce Caldwell doubles over, gasping, Nadia follows with an upward elbow strike to his jaw. The impact snaps his head back and switches off his consciousness like a light bulb. Officer Bryce Caldwell drops like a felled tree. His 210-pound frame hits marble with a sickening thud. The courtroom erupts in chaos. People scream. Cameras flash. Judge Margaret Holloway's gavel pounds uselessly. Nadia calmly adjusts her glasses and returns to the microphone. As I was saying, Your Honor, systematic misconduct requires systematic reform. Officer Bryce Caldwell lies motionless on cold marble, his career ending where his arrogance began. The viral video explodes across social media within minutes. Hashtag Congresswoman knockout trends worldwide. The 3-second clip of Nadia destroying Officer Bryce Caldwell gets 50 million views in 6 hours. But the celebration does not last long. Morning brings federal charges against Nadia that shock everyone: assault and battery on a police officer, assault on a federal employee, disturbing the peace in a federal courthouse. Each charge carries potential prison time. The legal trap springs with devastating precision. District Attorney Victor Ramsey, an ambitious prosecutor with political aspirations, holds a press conference outside the courthouse. News crews pack the steps where protesters gathered just days before. Congresswoman Nadia may claim self-defense, but the evidence tells a different story. District Attorney Victor Ramsey announces to rolling cameras. She used military-level violence against Officer Bryce Caldwell, who was attempting to maintain courtroom order. District Attorney Victor Ramsey plays the viral video in slow motion frame by frame. Officer Bryce Caldwell placed his hand on Miss Nadia's shoulder, a standard restraint technique. Her response was immediate, brutal, and excessive. He pauses the video at the moment of impact. Officer Bryce Caldwell's unconscious body freezes mid-fall. Ladies and gentlemen, Congresswoman Nadia's hands are registered as deadly weapons due to her military training. She chose violence when de-escalation was possible. The media narrative shifts overnight. Conservative outlets seize the prosecutorial momentum. Violent Congresswoman attacks officer doing his job. Military training makes politicians' response disproportionate. Should elected officials be allowed to assault law enforcement? Nadia finds herself isolated as colleagues distance themselves from the controversy. Congressional leadership suggests she step back from the police reform bill pending legal resolution. Her approval ratings plummet from 74% to 31% in 3 days. Meanwhile, Officer Bryce Caldwell transforms from villain to victim with masterful public relations. He appears on news shows wearing a neck brace and speaking with a slight slur that medical experts privately call performance symptoms. I was just trying to restore order in that courtroom, Officer Bryce Caldwell tells sympathetic interviewers. Yes, I touched her shoulder gently to guide her back to appropriate behavior. Her response was like being hit by a professional fighter. The neck brace becomes his prop. The bandage on his forehead adds visual sympathy. Officer Bryce Caldwell's lawyers coach him on victim language and traumatic stress responses. I have children, you know. Officer Bryce Caldwell continues, his voice breaking slightly. They saw their father knocked unconscious on national television by someone who is supposed to represent justice and fairness. Public opinion splits dangerously. Hashtag justice for Bryce battles. Hashtag stand with Nadia across social media platforms. Police unions rally around Officer Bryce Caldwell as a symbol of officers under attack. They organize protests outside Nadia's district office, demanding her resignation. First they attack our budgets, then our reputations. Now they are physically assaulting officers, declares Police Union President Garrett Klein. Congresswoman Nadia represents everything wrong with anti-police sentiment in America. District Attorney Victor Ramsey builds his case methodically. Medical experts testify about Officer Bryce Caldwell's injuries. Mild concussion, whiplash, potential long-term cognitive effects. The prosecution argues Nadia's military training obligated her to show restraint. She could have called for help. District Attorney Victor Ramsey argues in pretrial hearings she could have stepped away. She could have used verbal de-escalation. Instead, she chose to deploy lethal force against a police officer. Defense attorneys line up to represent Nadia, but she makes a stunning decision that shocks everyone. She will defend herself. Sophia pleads with her during a strategy session in Nadia's congressional office. Nadia, you cannot. This is not a political hearing. This is a criminal court. They want to put you in prison. Nadia sits calmly behind her desk, reviewing case law. Sophia, I spent my military career defending constitutional principles. I will not hide behind expensive lawyers when those same principles are under attack. But you could lose everything. I could lose everything by staying silent, too. Nadia closes her law books with quiet determination. If I let them criminalize self-defense, every woman who fights back becomes a potential felon. The pre-trial discovery process reveals the case's true nature. Nadia's legal team uncovers evidence. District Attorney Victor Ramsey tried to suppress Officer Bryce Caldwell's complete disciplinary record. 47 excessive force complaints, internal affairs investigations that were mysteriously closed without action. Settlement payments totaling $1.2 million to Officer Bryce Caldwell's victims. Social media posts where Officer Bryce Caldwell called Nadia a lying activist and promised to handle the situation. Audio recordings of Officer Bryce Caldwell telling fellow officers he planned to shut down Nadia's presentation. Medical records showing Officer Bryce Caldwell's severe injuries required no prescription medication stronger than aspirin. But District Attorney Victor Ramsey fights to exclude most of this evidence, arguing it is irrelevant to the specific incident in question. Your Honor, Officer Bryce Caldwell's past conduct does not justify Congresswoman Nadia's violent response, District Attorney Victor Ramsey argues during motion hearings. She did not know about prior complaints when she chose to assault him. Judge Margaret Holloway, the same judge who witnessed the original incident, finds herself in an impossible position. The case has become a referendum on police accountability, women's rights, and political power. Outside the courthouse, battle lines are drawn. Supporters rally behind both sides. Nadia's defenders argue she stood up to a corrupt system. Officer Bryce Caldwell's supporters claim she represents dangerous anti-police sentiment. The trial date approaches with the weight of national attention. Nadia faces 5 years in federal prison if convicted on all charges. District Attorney Victor Ramsey believes he has an unwinnable case. Video evidence shows clear assault. Nadia used disproportionate force. The law seems straightforward, but he does not know about Nadia's secret weapon. The truth about what really happened in that courtroom and why Officer Bryce Caldwell attacked her in the first place. The discovery that will change everything sits in federal investigation files that District Attorney Victor Ramsey never bothered to read completely. Nadia has been preparing for this battle her entire adult life. First as a Marine, then as a Congresswoman. Now she will find out if justice really is blind or if it just looks the other way when convenient. The federal courthouse transforms into a media circus as United States versus Nadia begins. Every major network positions cameras outside. Protesters line the streets with competing signs. Justice for Nadia and cops' lives matter. Inside courtroom 4B, the same room where everything started. Jury selection reveals America's deep divisions. 12 citizens, 8 women, 4 men, 6 white, 4 black, 2 Hispanic will decide whether self-defense or assault occurred that day. District Attorney Victor Ramsey presents his opening statement with prosecutorial confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence is simple. Congresswoman Nadia used deadly force against Officer Bryce Caldwell. The law is clear. Her response was excessive, disproportionate, and criminal. He plays the viral video one more time. Officer Bryce Caldwell's unconscious body hitting marble echoes through speakers. 3 seconds of violence that could have been avoided if she had simply asked for help instead of choosing assault. Nadia rises for her opening statement. No legal team surrounds her. No expensive consultants whisper strategy. She stands alone behind the defense table. Members of the jury, I will prove that I used minimum necessary force to stop an ongoing assault. But more importantly, I will show you why Officer Bryce Caldwell attacked me, and why this case represents everything wrong with accountability in law enforcement. The prosecution calls Officer Bryce Caldwell as their star witness. He approaches the stand wearing his dress uniform, moving slightly slower than necessary. The neck brace is gone, but he occasionally touches his jaw as if pain lingers. District Attorney Victor Ramsey guides Officer Bryce Caldwell through sympathetic testimony. Officer Bryce Caldwell, please tell the jury what happened that day. Officer Bryce Caldwell's voice carries carefully rehearsed emotion. I was providing security when the witness began disrupting court proceedings with inflammatory statements about police officers. When I attempted to maintain order, she immediately attacked me with military-level violence. How did you attempt to maintain order? I placed my hand gently on her shoulder to guide her away from the microphone. Standard crowd control technique, nothing aggressive. District Attorney Victor Ramsey nods sympathetically. What happened next? She grabbed my wrist and started hitting me. Everything went black after that. Next thing I remember, I was waking up on the floor with paramedics checking my pulse. The prosecution's medical expert testifies about Officer Bryce Caldwell's injuries. Mild concussion, whiplash, possible long-term cognitive effects from the assault. District Attorney Victor Ramsey builds his case methodically. Nadia used excessive force. Her military training made her dangerous. Officer Bryce Caldwell was just doing his job. Then Nadia begins her cross-examination of Officer Bryce Caldwell. She approaches the witness stand with quiet intensity, carrying a thick folder of documents. Her voice remains professionally calm, but something predatory lurks beneath the surface. Officer Bryce Caldwell, you testified that you gently touched my shoulder. Let us examine that claim. Nadia activates the courtroom's video system. The viral footage appears on screens throughout the room. Officer Bryce Caldwell, does this look gentle to you? The video plays in slow motion. Officer Bryce Caldwell's open palm striking Nadia's face with obvious force. The crack of impact echoes through speakers. Officer Bryce Caldwell shifts uncomfortably. The camera angle is misleading, I see. So you are claiming this video is inaccurate. Camera angles can be deceptive. Nadia advances to her next line of attack. Officer Bryce Caldwell, how many excessive force complaints have you received in your career? District Attorney Victor Ramsey objects. Relevance, Your Honor. I will allow it. Judge Margaret Holloway rules. Officer Bryce Caldwell hesitates. A few. It comes with the job. A few. Let us be specific. Nadia opens her folder. 47 complaints. Is that not correct? Objection. Overruled. Answer the question. Officer Bryce Caldwell. Officer Bryce Caldwell's confident demeanor cracks slightly. Yes, but most were unfounded. Most, according to internal affairs records. How many resulted in disciplinary action? Officer Bryce Caldwell's lawyer whispers urgently, but Nadia continues relentlessly. 12 sustained complaints. Officer Bryce Caldwell, 12 times your department found you guilty of misconduct, yet you remained on active duty. Why? District Attorney Victor Ramsey objects repeatedly, but the damage accumulates. Nadia systematically dismantles Officer Bryce Caldwell's credibility with his own recorded actions. She presents audio recordings of Officer Bryce Caldwell using racial slurs during arrests, video footage of him planting evidence, witness testimony about his threatening behavior toward civilians. Officer Bryce Caldwell, on March 15th, you told Officer Bennett, and I quote, "Sometimes these people need to be reminded who is really in charge." What did you mean by these people? Officer Bryce Caldwell's composure completely collapses. I meant criminals, people who do not respect authority. You meant black people, did you not? No, that is not what I meant. Nadia plays another recording. Officer Bryce Caldwell's voice fills the courtroom. Another driving while black situation. Let us see what we can pin on this one. The jury watches Officer Bryce Caldwell's face turn red with embarrassment and rage. Officer Bryce Caldwell, is it not true that you attacked me because you could not tolerate a black woman presenting evidence of your misconduct? That is not true. Is it not true that you never bothered to learn my identity? Because you assumed I was just another troublemaker you could intimidate. Officer Bryce Caldwell explodes exactly as Nadia predicted. You people always play the race card. You got your position because of affirmative action, not because you earned it. The courtroom gasps. District Attorney Victor Ramsey buries his head in his hands. Officer Bryce Caldwell's mask finally falls completely. Nadia remains ice-cold calm. Thank you, Officer Bryce Caldwell. No further questions. Nadia takes the stand in her own defense. She speaks directly to the jury with quiet authority. Members of the jury, I served 2 tours overseas defending American principles. I have faced enemy fire, improvised explosives, and life-threatening situations most people cannot imagine. She pauses, making eye contact with each juror. Officer Bryce Caldwell slapped me because he thought I was powerless. He thought he could silence me with violence because I appeared to be just another black woman he could intimidate. Nadia describes her military training in precise detail. Martial arts teach proportional response. I could have broken Officer Bryce Caldwell's neck. I could have crushed his windpipe. I could have inflicted permanent damage. She demonstrates the movements in slow motion, showing the jury exactly how controlled her response was. Instead, I used the minimum force necessary to stop his assault. 3 strikes: block, disable, neutralize. Textbook defensive technique. District Attorney Victor Ramsey's cross-examination fails miserably. Nadia answers every question with calm precision, never losing composure despite aggressive questioning. The closing arguments reveal the case's true stakes. District Attorney Victor Ramsey makes a final plea. Congresswoman Nadia chose violence when other options existed. The law applies equally to everyone regardless of political position. Nadia addresses the jury one last time. Officer Bryce Caldwell represents a system that believes some people can be assaulted without consequences. Today, you decide whether that system is right. Jury deliberation lasts 4 hours and 17 minutes. When they return, the foreman stands. On the charge of assault and battery, we find the defendant not guilty. The courtroom erupts in celebration. Nadia maintains her composure, but tears glisten in her eyes. Justice has been served, but the real victory is just beginning. The courthouse steps explode into celebration as Nadia emerges victorious. Supporters lift signs reading, "Justice served," and "Self-defense is not a crime." Cameras capture every moment as she addresses the crowd with quiet dignity. Today proves that no one, regardless of their badge or position, is above the law, Nadia declares, and no one, regardless of their race or gender, is below its protection. The crowd roars approval. Chants of Nadia, Nadia echo off federal building walls. Officer Bryce Caldwell's downfall accelerates rapidly. Within hours of the verdict, the Metropolitan Police Department fires him for conduct unbecoming an officer. His union, embarrassed by his racist courtroom outburst, withdraws all support. Federal prosecutors file civil rights violation charges based on his recorded statements and planted evidence. The FBI opens investigations into every arrest officer Bryce Caldwell made. Dozens of wrongfully convicted victims line up with lawyers demanding justice. Officer Bryce Caldwell's personal life crumbles simultaneously. His wife files for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences and public humiliation. His children refuse contact, ashamed to share his name. The family home goes into foreclosure as legal bills mount. His pension disappears due to felony conviction. Job applications get rejected the moment employers Google his name. The viral video of his knockout follows him everywhere, a permanent reminder of consequences. Meanwhile, Nadia experiences complete vindication on every front. Her approval ratings skyrocket to 84%, the highest for any freshman congresswoman in decades. Congressional leadership apologizes for distancing themselves and fast-tracks her police reform legislation. The Ellis Accountability Act passes both houses with overwhelming bipartisan support. House vote 289 to 146, Senate vote 64 to 36. The president signs it in a Rose Garden ceremony with Nadia at his side. The legislation revolutionizes American policing overnight. Body cameras become mandatory for all federal law enforcement. Independent oversight boards gain subpoena power. Officers with excessive force complaints face automatic review. Nadia's story spreads globally, inspiring similar reforms worldwide. The Nadia standard becomes international shorthand for proportional self-defense against authority figures who abuse their power. #StandUp, like Nadia trends across social media platforms as millions share stories of standing up to bullies. Self-defense class enrollment increases 400%, particularly among women of color. The viral video takes on mythical status, 3 seconds of precision that changed everything. Military academies study Nadia's technique. Diplomatic training programs use her composure under pressure as a case study. Personal transformation follows professional vindication. Nadia receives thousands of marriage proposals from admirers worldwide, but chooses to remarry quietly a fellow veteran who respects her independence and strength. Her teenage daughter, inspired by her mother's courage, receives an appointment to the academy. "I want to serve like Mom did," she tells reporters. "But maybe I will become president instead of Congresswoman." Nadia keeps a photo of Officer Bryce Caldwell's arrest on her congressional office desk. Not for revenge, but as a reminder that preparation prevents problems. When visitors ask about it, she simply says, That is what happens when you assume you know who you are dealing with. Documented changes reshape American law enforcement. Police misconduct complaints dropped 67% in major cities as officers realize actions have consequences. Federal courthouse incidents decreased 78% as security personnel receive proper training. Government official harassment reports fall 45% as potential attackers think twice. The ripple effects continue expanding. International security agencies study the Bryce Protocol, what not to do when confronting unknown individuals. Diplomatic corps report 89% reduction in mistaken identity incidents. Officer Bryce Caldwell serves his federal sentence in minimum security prison, occasionally seeing his viral knockout on television. Fellow inmates call it the slap heard around the world. He finally understands what his ignorance cost him. Nadia's legacy grows beyond single legislation. She becomes the quiet Congresswoman who let her actions speak louder than words. Her military bearing and unshakable composure under pressure inspire millions. The lesson resonates worldwide. Sometimes the biggest mistakes come from assuming you know who you are dealing with. And sometimes the biggest victories come from showing exactly who you are when tested. Statistical revolution confirms lasting change. Security protocol compliance up 96%. Self-defense training enrollment sustained 340% increase. Federal workplace incidents down 78%. Cross-agency coordination improvement 67%. Nadia walks through the Capitol with new respect from colleagues who witnessed her grace under fire. She wears a small congressional pin now, not for protection, but to help others do their jobs properly. But the story's impact reaches far beyond one courthouse, one cop, or even one congresswoman. It proves that courage, preparation, and composure can change the world when someone finally says enough. The anniversary of the slap that changed everything became National Recognition Day, celebrating the importance of knowing who you serve and protect before making assumptions. The Bryce Protocol, named ironically after the officer whose ignorance sparked worldwide reform, revolutionizes security training globally. Federal buildings from capital city to Tokyo implement verify before confront procedures. Diplomatic incidents drop 89% as officials properly identify visitors before challenging them. Nadia chairs the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Civil Rights, having authored 23 pieces of landmark legislation. Nobel Peace Prize nomination arrives for her criminal justice reform work. Time magazine names her Person of the Decade for reshaping American policing through 3 seconds of courage. The viral video continues generating 15,000 views across platforms. Studied in self-defense classes worldwide, analyzed in diplomatic training seminars, memed into dozens of languages, it symbolizes consequences for willful ignorance and the power of preparation over assumption. Educational revolution spreads globally. Nadia's leadership institutes operate in 31 cities, teaching situational awareness and constitutional civics. Military academies include her case study in command training. Corporate America adopts verification before confrontation policies. International impact stories flood social media. Tokyo security guards prevent diplomatic incidents by properly identifying visiting congresswomen before challenging suspicious behavior. A London police officer credits Nadia's story for making him verify credentials before confronting civilians who turned out to be undercover MI5. Berlin government buildings adopt Bryce prevention protocols. Verify before confronting becomes a global hashtag with 2.8 million posts. Government workers worldwide wear better identification. Security forces implement assumption audits, examining bias and threat assessment. Officer Bryce Caldwell serves his federal sentence working in the prison library, helping inmates with legal research. Divorced, minimal contact with children who changed their surnames. Occasional interviews where he admits, "I destroyed my life because I chose not to learn who I was supposed to protect." His story becomes a cautionary tale taught in police academies. What happens when officers let prejudice override procedure? Personal transformation stories inspire millions. Maria, 28. Watching Nadia stay calm under attack taught me to control my reactions during crisis situations. David, 35. Security guard who credits training from Nadia's case with preventing workplace violence through proper identification procedures. Ashley, 19. Academy cadet, inspired by Nadia's military bearing under pressure. Statistical revolution continues. Government official harassment down 71%. Mistaken identity confrontations down 84%. Security protocol compliance up 98%. Federal workplace incidents down 81%. Nadia's approval rating holds steady at 79%. Presidential speculation grows as colleagues recognize her unique combination of military experience, legislative skill, and proven grace under fire. She still rides the metro to work now with discreet security. Her daughter graduated valedictorian heading to the academy, following maternal footsteps. Nadia keeps an updated photo of Officer Bryce Caldwell in prison uniform. Reminder that choices have lasting consequences. The continuing legacy. Nadia's calm response becomes a textbook example of leadership under pressure. Studied by everyone from diplomats to CEOs to parents, teaching children about conflict resolution. Her quiet strength proves that sometimes the most powerful response to aggression is controlled precision rather than escalated violence. The story of Nadia Ellis proves that sometimes life's most important moments come when we are tested by people who completely underestimate us. Have you ever watched someone's assumptions destroy their entire future in real time? Share this story if you believe in the power of staying calm under pressure and letting your actions speak louder than your words. Hit that subscribe button for more incredible stories of ordinary people who became extraordinary by refusing to let others define their limits. Most importantly, when was the last time you verified who you were dealing with before making dangerous assumptions? Share your story about the importance of proper preparation in the comments below. Let us build a community that chooses verification over assumption. Remember, in a world full of Bryces making assumptions, be a Nadia, prepared, professional, and powerful when it matters most. Your moment might be just one confrontation away. What is your moment of standing up to someone who underestimated you? Tell us below. Images of security personnel worldwide properly checking credentials, women in self-defense classes, Nadia continuing congressional work with quiet confidence, and the viral video playing on screens globally. 3 seconds that changed everything. Officer Bryce Caldwell learned too late that assumptions can destroy everything you have built. Nadia Ellis proved that preparation and composure can change everything you want to build. The choice, as always, is yours. Subscribe button. Related videos about assumption checking and preparation.